You guys know I've been talking about Pirate Nation and Proof of Play for the longest time. And today, finally, I'm beside the co-creator of FarmVille as well as the CEO of Proof of Play. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Pirate Nation is currently one of, if not the hottest Web3 game right now, with over 57,000 daily active user, more than 83,000 monthly active user, and also an impressive 34% day 30 retention rate, right? Can you share some of the upcoming updates and push some of the developments that you can share with the audience?
Sure, yeah. So we are about to launch season 3 of the game. It's a brand new crafting system. We're basically completely changing the meta of the game. We're gonna break everyone's spreadsheets, which is really important. I think you have to keep people on their toes.
Yeah.
When we think about like an MMO, right, there's a lot of different types of player types. There's people who play the combat, there's people who want to engage in the economy and the crafting system and all these other things. And what we've done is we've actually really deepened all of the mechanics of the game, especially around the explorer, crafter type of player, so that they have much more deep and engaging gameplay. In addition to that, you know, we've launched a ton of really cool new features. It's possible now to see other players within the world, so now it feels like a vibrant, living world. It also means that, like, you know, your ship skins and your avatar skins, which you've created, collected, now can be seen by other players. You can show them off. And as we start going down this route of like more player engagement within the world and player interactivity within the world, you know, we'll start to add, you know, more social features, guilds, these things that really create more like social gameplay, not just like solo gameplay.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I like that you talk about multiplayer because right now Pirate Nation is officially a multiplayer game, and the numbers that Apex chain and also Boss chain has, you know, outperformed a lot of these many other gaming chains. I would like to ask, like, is there any alpha on the multi-chain side of things?
Yeah, so, you know, so I worked on FarmVille, right? And FarmVille had 300 million players, but all those 300 million players weren't on a single database. They were on 64 databases. So in order to actually get to a level of scale, we have to like solve a bunch of technical problems. But the real challenge for a company like ours is having something that's like really complex behind the scenes, but then when players are playing the game, it's a simple, easy, fun game. No one cares about the technology, right? And so the alpha there is that we've cracked actually one of the really hard problems in crypto, which is how do you actually build something that can scale to, you know, a normal mobile game? How do you get to something that can scale to millions of users? And because we're fully on chain, which is different from a lot of other games, you know, we're solving problems that other games just don't face.
Correct.
And so the real alpha is that, like, you know, yes, we were able to go from 1 chain to 2 chains, but now it's trivial to go to 3 chains, 4 chains, 5 chains, 10 chains, 100 chains, which essentially means we can scale very quickly from, you know, our 60,000 DAU to 6 million DAU.
Yeah.
And we have a formula for doing it. And so that's really exciting. So that's the reason we're like back on gameplay features and building new game stuff, because now we're like, okay, the tech's kind of solid.
Yeah, I mean, that's really impressive. And the multi-chain thing is just genius because everyone just thinks that they need 1 chain to run the entire game. And we always talk about mass adoption and stuff like that, which leads to my next point. Pirate Nation is going on mobile. Like, what or when can people expect?
So I actually have the game running on my phone. It's been running on my phone for over a year.
What?
Yeah. It's you know, it's built in Unity, so it's very easy for us to do it. The reason we were not able to do it is because if we launch it on the App Store and we get like 1 million users overnight, the entire thing falls over.
Yeah.
Right?
It'll crash.
Yeah, and we kind of had a bit of that in the summer where, like, you know, we had waiting rooms and all this other stuff. We don't want to give people that experience. So a big part of it was like, okay, first we need to solve this thing of how do we just support these many users. But now with the mobile side, I think with mobile, you know, Web3 gamers are like the ones who are like kind of playing for points and all this other stuff. They're very forgiving with bad user experience. With mobile gaming, there's zero patience for that stuff. Right? Like, it's all got to be dialed in. So the UI's all got to be really easy to use. We have to make a really easy, nice onboarding. So when someone who's new, who's like, I have 1,000 other games I could play, picks up Pirate Nation, it meets the players where they are. They're essentially getting an experience they expect. It's polished. That takes time. So, you know, we are doing that behind the scenes, and you'll see kind of, it'll show up in the web a bit, like just nicer UIs, like nicer onboarding, more tutorials on how different game features work. All that stuff is to get ready for mobile. The second thing that we want to solve before we get to mobile, though, is guilds. And the reason for that is people come, they start playing a game for the game, but they stick around for the community. And guilds are the thing that make a game sticky. And so if we're going to go and launch the game on mobile, what we don't want is a million people to play the game and then just leave immediately. They just churn, right? That's not good for anyone. So we have to really make sure that when someone comes in, they're getting an A+ experience, that they're likely to stick around, they're not going to churn.
Currently, like I said, day 30 retention is about 34%.
Yeah.
Once Guilds is up and running, I would expect that retention to go up.
So that's our hope too.
Fun little question.
Yeah.
Do you know in Asia, which country is your biggest supporter? It starts from a V.
Is it Vietnam?
Yes. Hey, shout out Vietnam.
Yeah. I think it's very, very, very hardcore.
They are super hardcore.
Super hardcore.
Oh, dude, I can't beat them.
Yeah, no, we love the Vietnamese community.
Okay, now I'm not gonna touch on anything about Pirate Token, okay? But can you share a little bit about some high level on Proof of Play and some of the points and stuff like that?
So, Proof of Play, we're basically building infrastructure and technology to enable fully on-chain applications to work, right? And PirateNation is our go-to-market. Like, we're building the game so that we can figure out how to build scalable, distributed applications.
Yep.
So, the reason that we're building fully on-chain is because I believe you're playing the game, you're investing a ton of your time into it, you're like buying items, you're like putting resources into it, you're creating friends, you're creating communities. Like with a centralized game, you can always be rug pulled, right? I worked on FarmVille and that was, 300 million people play that game and the game was shut down in 2020. And so those 300 million people's farms, their data, all that stuff is just poof. Right? And I think that community deserves better. I think that there's a better way of creating gaming communities because ultimately I think that these places become the place that you hang out with your friends. Like Fortnite, like yeah, it's a fun game, it's amazing, but the reason it's so sticky is because people are logging in every day to hang out with their friends. Yeah. It's become the equivalent of like going to your friend's house and playing video games on the couch or whatever it may be. Instead, you're just doing it online within a virtual world. Yeah. And so by creating these games on chain, you're essentially enabling these communities to exist forever. Yep. So a key part of that is allowing the community to run the servers that actually execute the game. So even if Proof of Play no longer exists, the entire ecosystem that keeps Pirate Nation running can continue to exist. That's true decentralization, which is one of the reasons we're all here. Yeah. And so when I think about Proof of Play and what we're doing there, it's about how do we take Pirate Nation and decentralize it more? How do we give the keys to the players so they can continue to perpetuate the game, they can evolve it. Yep. Players can create new content for it. We're already seeing a bit of that. Yeah. They can fork it, they can create new games from it. And so Proof of Play is really all about the if Amazon is the product and Amazon Web Services is like their kind of hosting layer, Pirate Nation is the product, and then the Proof of Play infrastructure is the hosting layer. And if you kind of look at what they did for Amazon stock, that was pretty notable. So
yeah, like early days, Amazon was crazy, and people didn't realize it until like it really started taking off. Yeah. So Amitt, last question.
Sure.
Any early alphas or upcoming alphas that you guys can share to the audience?
Yeah, I mean, we are constantly looking for ways to create more deflation in the economy. Yeah. And it's only going to be more and more kind of aggressive as we go about that. And the second thing is like figure out who your homies are, because next on our list is social and guilds, and we're going to start to really lean into that as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Amitt, for your time.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
And guys, there's so many alphas within this video. So make sure to watch it a few times and search for the alphas. I'll shout out to the pirate community. You guys are amazing. And yeah, stay tuned for Proof of Play. And thank you so much.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah.